Hey, I'm your host, Shaun Saxum, and thanks for coming to watch the 4th episode of the Create Stuff podcast. I'm not going to hold your time for too long, just have a few quick things to say before it gets started. First off, I immediately started off the podcast by calling Professor Viral my host rather than my guest. That was a mistake, and it means nothing. You know it's going to go well when we start with something like that. This interview was streamed live on twitch.tv/Shaun Saxum. I streamed the recordings of every single interview on there, and if you're in chat, you get to ask questions of the person I'm interviewing yourself. It makes it a lot more fun to have people there watching and, listening along, I guess. And at the end, when I take audience questions, it's always so great to see what you guys want to ask, because you guys always come up with stuff I don't. Like, what color of construction paper the guest likes. Because why would I come up with that? Because that's a dumb question. But I asked it anyways. I'm just joking. It's only kind of a really dumb question. If you really love the Create Stuff podcast and you want to support it, check out my Patreon in the link in the description. I really appreciate that your support. Even just $1 a month is, seriously so helpful to me. And knowing that I can make something out of this. But hey, if you don't want to do that, you can always help me by just liking and commenting and subscribing. Seriously, it helps so much in the algorithm to have all of that happen. And if you subscribe, you get to see when the next episode comes out. And trust me, 5th episode is going to be a really fun one, just like this one was. I won't hold your time for any longer. Keep in mind that anything mentioned in the podcast is linked in the description, and enjoy the 4th episode of the Create Stuff podcast. Welcome to episode 4 of the Create Stuff podcast. Today, my host is video essayist and anime analysis, Professor Viral.
Hello. How I was about to say how's everyone doing, but it's just, two people. So.
No, I get you.
I'm great at intros, if you can't tell.
Your videos make it look like you're pretty good at them, I would say.
That's like the 10th attempt.
I feel that. I have to record the post recording intros for these so many times. Oh, I can't speak. Okay. Yep. Can't speak. He says the man who's running a podcast. Let's go. All right. I'm going to get right into this. So, okay. You make video essays, right? What would you define as a video essay? Or how would you define it in your own words?
I actually haven't thought about it much. Because I actually, anytime I was asked, formally for school to, write an essay, it was, the worst experience of my entire life. And that was just, 4 pages. And now I write, 10 of them for fun, on a daily basis.
Really? That surprises me.
I guess maybe, it's weird because it's very broad, but I guess, anything where you're kind of, making a point with evidence, whether it's, argumentative or just, informative in some way. I'm guessing I'm kind of using, a debate style definition there, but pretty much anything of a decent length where I think you're trying to get a point across, as my vague terrible definition.
No, I get what you mean. I totally agree. So you mostly focus on analyzing anime from a psychological and philosophical perspective, right? What made you get into that as your channel's main thing?
Oh man, it actually I'm trying to remember when that would have started, because it definitely my first few videos were very technical. It was very much this character should have been a hero rather than a villain, or this is why I think this worked. I guess it was when I started. It was probably Psychopaths, honestly, where it was the first time I was it might have been a video discussing the civil system from Psychopaths. It was kind of the first time where I sat down and went, okay, rather than trying to make a point I feel about this anime, I should look at it through a lens of someone else's ideas, whether it's philosophical, psychological, or historical, and say, can we consider this action right? That's the first time I had a point like that in a video. So I guess it was just I just wanted to talk about anime, and then over time, congruent with starting a channel, I just gained that interest into those philosophical insights. So it just kind of was a melding of interests, really.
Okay, interesting. Did you have any interest in philosophy beforehand?
I had absolutely none. I actually,
Seriously?
Yeah, up until maybe I was 20. I looked at the world in a very very concrete way. I was very scientifically minded. And not that psychology or even aspects of philosophy aren't scientific, but the best way I can describe it is back then I wanted to ask what the world was, and now I want to ask why the world is. Um,
Oh, that's interesting.
so like, I guess I was taking my first semester of classes in college, um, and I registered late, so I only had one general elective I could take, which was Intro to Ethics for ethical philosophy. And that
Mm-hmm.
was the first time like I sat down in a classroom and like someone had like explained what this stuff was, and he said pretty much like every movie you love or script that was written that you love, someone who worked on that took a course like this. And as I was going through it, I had always kind of in the back of my mind been writing my own stories, like I guess like a lot of people do. And it started to influence those, and I saw it as like, wow, this is interesting. He was right. Like this, it creates like a deeper meaning to what I've been thinking of. Like I can put my feelings into those stories. So
Really?
like that first course is kind of what like sparked it for me, where I was like, this is something of the world I've never seen that I cannot get enough of now.
Interesting. I might have to take an intro to ethics class in college at some point then. It's
It,
really
it's
interesting.
interesting. It's very dependent on the professor though. Like mine was just he was kind of insane. So it was very interesting because he was off the walls. He spent an entire course talking about, or an entire 40 minutes talking about bolognese once.
What is that?
It's like a pasta sauce with meat in it.
That's amazing.
So yeah, interesting times.
You gotta be a little bit crazy to get a degree in ethics. To be fair.
Oh my god, yes. The more you get into it, the more you just slowly start to think I might just be insane.
Okay, so what is your general script writing slash video creation method? What is your process?
Um, Mostly crying like 7 times. A couple mental breakdown. Now, it's it's weird because it very much starts with watching the anime and taking notes on it. So like I'll generally just be like, this is what I've been recommended, or this is something that looks interesting, and I'll sit down and try to go into it as blindly as possible and say like I'm just going to take notes on what's happening, why I think it might be happening, what ideas or concepts it might be covering, and then kind of like there's always not always, but usually like an aha moment where I'm like, that's a topic. It feels like everything's been leading to this, everything's been playing into it. I could talk about this. So once
Interesting.
I get into like that idea, from there there's a little bit of um I'll like, finish the anime obviously, go through like collect all the points I thought worked with that. From there I will condense those into an outline. So I'll go through with like my notes on one screen, a new page on the other, and I probably go through maybe like 5 outlines before I get one that's right. And they're all in one document. So it's just a mess of like heading 1 outline, heading 2 the real outline, heading 3 look at this one, not the other ones. And
I
like
get
I've
that.
like I've done strike through on some stuff that I've moved to the next one as I'm like it's a process of like reorganizing mostly so I can like keep my thoughts in like a good order and present them in a way that I feel, you know, has its own flow and own pull to wanting to watch it as well.
Hmm.
Um, and then like if there's anything I think I don't know enough about or that I wanted to explore and learn about with the audience, I'll go ahead and do any research on that. So it's like for some of the Black Lagoon videos, it was like, okay, a lot of this character is like for Balalaika from Black Lagoon is a lot of her character is Soviet history. So I, went through and watched a few documentaries on it, read a few different articles or news headlines or news articles from back in the day.
Hmm.
So depending on the topic, there's also like a bit of research that comes into play, like the same time as the outline.
Okay, interesting.
So from the outlines, there it's pretty much onto scripting. Like occasionally, if I feel very strongly about the topic, I'll make a thumbnail and be like, I'm confident. I feel like doing this because I like genuinely really enjoy doing the graphic stuff.
Hmm.
But normally it's just like right onto the script, and that is always the most interesting process because I very much write in like a mind flow kind of way. So it's like all or nothing. It's normally like, okay, I'm sitting down, I have nothing to do for 4 hours. Everything that's in my brain is coming out right now based on this outline.
Hmm.
Um, and sometimes it's like hit or miss. Like I remember for talking about Code Geass, I started 2 scripts and got, like a good 6 pages, which is kind of like the lower end of my scripts, and just kind of went like after reading through it, I don't enjoy any of this. And I started a new one, and then I did it again and like eventually got it. But
Hmm.
it's almost like hard to describe the process.
I
I'm
think
just
you've
generally
described it pretty well. I got to be honest. So, about how many times would you say, like on average, you have to go through? Like, how many times do you have to change your outline or your script before you have one that you're happy with?
oh god. It's very dependent on the video and topic. Like Psychopaths, I've just seen it and talked about it with people for so long and so many times that I can sit down and write something and feel very confident because I'm able to just go through the anime and like focus on exactly what I need to instead of everything.
Hmm.
But there's some like this is never even a video I made, but I wanted to talk about Legacy from Beastars for a while, and I seriously have on my Google Drive like a script titled "Beastars Take 5," and it's not finished either. So like depending on the topic or even just like how my life is going at that point, it can be like upwards of like occasionally 4 times before I actually get something where I'm like, this is something I feel comfortable making a video with.
Interesting. Is it ever frustrating to have to start over?
Oh my god, yes, I hate it so much. It's like especially like I'll get to the end and it's like, "Ah, I don't like this, but I'm so bad with editing because of that like mind flow of like, this is what I'm writing, this is what's in my head next. I'm gonna try to maintain that thought. And then I get there and then that one, and it's this very like chain of events. And once I'm out of that mindset, I kind of like lose it. Um,
Mhm.
like it's weird, but with writing specifically and a few other things, I definitely have moments of like some moments of clarity versus some moments of not clarity where in 4 hours, depending on the mindset, I can either write 1 page or 15 pages.
Uh-huh.
So sometimes I'll go back and look at it when I'm not in that mindset and hate it, and it's just like my only option with how I write is pretty much just to restart.
Okay, interesting. So, why do you use outlines?
That's actually for I only started using them like maybe within like the past 4 months because I definitely didn't when I talked about Evangelion when I came back.
Hmm.
Um, but I started it with I forget what topic it was, but it might have been one of the historical videos because I was very much like, this is just a lot of information that I have to like make sure I cover. And like
Uh-huh.
finally doing that for like one of the first times, it was this feeling of like I don't have to use everything in here, but I at least have like all my thoughts in a good space. So rather than relying on one of those like moments of clarity or like writing mindsets, I kind of have two of them where I have these old ideas I can meld in with new ideas. Or just like if I'm not in that mindset, it can help me get back into it because I have all this stuff in front of me.
Hmm.
So it's a more recent thing, but it definitely is very much a like my memory is terrible, so it's making sure I get everything kind of a thing.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Interesting, interesting. So, do you watch an anime multiple times before you write on it?
I I try not to just for time constraints,
Hmm.
but there are definitely some that I have. Like Steins Gate, I watched twice before I did. Um, Code Geass, I watched 2 times before I did. Um, Psychopaths and Tokyo Ghoul, I watched 2 times before I did. Same thing with Akame ga Kill. So
Hmm.
I normally don't go over 2 for the first video. Um, but if I have something I feel strongly enough that I think is like I can go through again, get points for this, and this will be a very good video, I have done it occasionally. but normally I try to keep it for one just for time.
Okay, interesting.
But then on every consecutive pass of like I make a new video, I generally watch it again.
Okay, interesting. So what like programs do you use to make your videos?
For scripting and outlining, I just use like Google Docs. Nothing special there. For audio recording, I use Audacity, just because this is actually an interesting bit of the channel's history. When it started, I was actually doing like random variety gaming stuff with a friend, just like at 18, like in his house. um, so we were broke and just kind of went like, oh hey, Audacity's free. We can use that to record. Let's do it. And I've just never stopped using it since.
It's a classic, man. I mean, if it's
Oh
free
yeah,
and it works, why not use it?
yeah, and it's so like for doing something as basic as I have to do of just like recording my voice, it's great.
Hmm.
And then my editing itself is all done in Premiere, um, and there's not too much special going on there. Like I have like a few like weird shortcuts I made, but all pretty standard stuff, I think.
Okay, fair enough. What kind of equipment do you use?
Oh man, I um whenever I was started working after graduating college, I had a little bit more money, so my setup has gotten a little bit more advanced. For recording, I have a just like a pretty basic camcorder I got a few years ago, which I actually have right here. So it's a Canon Vixia HF R600. So it's a very like basic model. It doesn't do too much. But it was on sale a couple of years ago. It has HD, so it was basically like, all right, everything I need.
Hmm.
I just have like a basic tripod for that that's kind of like sat up behind my monitors here, so I can just like stay where I'm sitting and go ahead and talk at the camera there. A couple of soft boxes, which I don't remember the specific brand or like wattage or anything, that are up like behind my desk that I can just like reach over and turn on, and then a few LED panels to go ahead and light everything up behind me. Um, and then for my microphone, I have it's a HyperX Solocast. So it's very much one of their most basic models. Like it just has like a press button for mute on and off, and no like mixer or anything. But it's very clear, consistent audio from like everything I've used. It's about like $50. So for a very basic mic, it was definitely like a huge upgrade for me.
Hmm. It's a really good price too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was like looking at other. I was like, oh my god, I need to buy this.
Okay.
It was very much an upgrade from my Guitar Hero Origins.
Hmm. So that Guitar Hero mic you mentioned that you used to
Yeah,
use, do you happen to have it anywhere nearby?
I do have it. I actually have it. Luckily enough, right here. I
What a
don't have the.
coincidence.
What a coincidence! I do not have the Frappuccino bottle that it used to sit in, but I do have
Okay, could we hear how it sounds real quick?
it. Yes, I immediately like the first time I went back and like checked out an old video when I upgraded. I was like, oh my god, how did I do this to people for 2 years? Actually, God, I guess it's like 5 years now. Jeez. But I will switch over right now. So this is me
Oh
speaking
wow.
into the Guitar Hero mic.
Oh my gosh. Oh wow. That is such a noticeable change. Oh, let me turn you up on Discord. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. So this is me speaking into a Guitar Hero World Tour microphone.
It's not as bad as I thought
From
it'd be, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, it's like I remember whenever I first was doing content, people were like, "Oh, your audio is like decent enough," and I was like, "It's a Guitar Hero mic, so that's cool, I guess."
Actually sounds pretty good, I gotta be honest. It's really not that bad. Like it's a little bit echoey, but besides that,
Yeah, it's better than you would think.
yeah, really. Okay.
I guess I should swap back over.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't need to do the whole rest of the interview like this. It's not that good.
Okay, I'm leaned back a bit, so my audio is not too loud, so you can adjust for a second.
Oh, I appreciate that. I definitely forgot about that. Okay. You're good now.
I am back to the nice, clear, smooth voice microphone.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so do you have any advice for anybody else who currently makes video essays or is looking to get into making them?
I I definitely do. Like obviously, like talking about the setup is a good point too, where it's like whenever I was actually getting the microphone, I have it sitting right next to some of the old like lighting equipment I have too, which is like it was just a light bulb and a cardboard box and tinfoil to like give like a better lighting effect and like the cheap tripod, like the old microphone. Although
Uh-huh.
like YouTube has definitely grown and it like most people, maybe even just starting out, have a much better quality than they used to. Although it sucks, you can definitely make it work with what minimal you have if the content is there.
Okay,
Um,
interesting.
and one of my other big things as well, because that's very technical. Something I've recommended to everyone who's ever asked me to make content, or like if they were getting into it since they know that I do, is before you publish anything, or I'd say even maybe like get the channel set up, or like make the email that goes along with it, or anything, is make like 4 or 5 of whatever content you're producing. Like for me, like if you're making video essays, I'd make they're a little bit longer, so maybe like 3 or 4 of them before you post anything, because the
Really?
first one isn't going to do well and you're going to get disheartened. But when you have others that you can put up and keep going, it's a little bit more incentive to say, okay, I'm not immediately disheartened, so it's not coming through in my next video. I still have something else I can put up while I'm working on other stuff. You get a little bit ahead from the start, and it really just helps with that setup of like your first video not doing well, because no one's really does well.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay, that's actually some really good advice. I've never thought of it that way. Do you have any
It's
other
something that
like?
took me a while.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have any other tips or tricks for people to that people can easily do to improve their audio quality, like putting pillows in the corners of your room, for example, to absorb sound?
Um, one of the ones I did for the longest time, especially when I had my microphone sitting like in something on my desk, or like even if you have like because now I have like a mic stand, or a like microphone arm too, is like if you're gonna be using a keyboard, or you have like a habit of putting your hands on the desk or something, like for a while, anytime I'm doing something where I like am using my keyboard and mouse, while recording a video, one of the things I always do if I'm gonna like have my hands on my desk or near my mic in any way is to help isolate any like excess sounds from like the surface your mic is on or close to, is like put a
Mm-hmm.
keyboard under your mouse pad, or put a keyboard under your mouse pad. Oh my god. Put a towel, like a hand towel, under your mouse pad or under your keyboard or like under your microphone stand. Like so like in a way it's still stable, but it provides an extra bit of padding so those vibrations aren't going to be picked up as much.
Interesting. Okay, that's a good idea. I actually have a pillow under my microphone right now, so I'm speaking pretty much directly into it.
Yep. Oh yeah,
Half
that's
the
another like
time.
I don't have like a large enough stand, and I don't like to have the arm down in videos. So I literally have my small microphone stand sitting on top of one of those little tiny desktop storage bins that you can
Mm-hmm.
get with like 3 drawers. And I just put it out of frame. And that's one of the things I took from stage crew, which I did in high school, into like video production, which is everything out of frame can look terrible. It can be made out of sandpaper, or it can be made out of tissue paper, standing on a house of cards. It doesn't matter because they'll never see it. So as long
Mm-hmm.
as it works, you can get away with it.
Uh-huh. Okay, interesting. That's some good advice. So, are you a sub or a dub guy?
I asking the controversial questions.
Oh yeah, this is important. I might end the
um,
interview right here, depending on your answer.
uh, um, I am a pineapple on dubs guy.
Oh.
Just to bring other controversial issues into it.
Oh my gosh. I'm about to get canceled on Twitter for having you on my podcast, I swear.
Oh man. Yeah, I am a dub person. Just because I feel like it makes the clip selection, which is, like if your video features just like clips of the anime, it makes it look a little bit cleaner. Although there is a benefit to having directly what's being said on screen. But I prefer that clean look and then like playing very small snippets of the character speaking when needed.
Mhm.
And it's also just for me like watching it. I'm very much a like a I do much better with like having an audio experience and a visual experience. Like one of my teachers in high school who I loved was very much like, you don't have to look at me when I'm talking, as long as you're listening. That's all I care about. So like we could sit there and like sketch like something out while she's talking or whatever, and she understood that like as long as you can listen, you can still take in what's going on. So
Mhm.
it's just like from a review perspective, it lets me kind of take in the visuals and anything that's being said or spoken or anything audio at the same time rather than focusing on the subtitles.
Okay, interesting. I actually like heavily prefer dubs in videos. Of course, out of videos, I'm not such a loser as to actually watch dubs. But when like, especially with anime like video essays, I really prefer the creator to use dubs because I spend a lot of time just listening to this stuff in the background. And like with a sub, when I just hear Japanese, if I'm not looking directly at the video,
Oh
it's
yeah.
kind of annoying. I'm honest. I think it's just way better, honestly.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I definitely, yeah, I only do that for video purposes. Ha ha ha. I watch the subs outside. I'm cool.
Whatever you say, Professor. Speaking of Professor being.
Professor?
Speaking of your username, where did the name Professor Bible come from?
This is this is always an interesting story. It's one I don't talk about much just because it doesn't come up very often.
Hmm.
Um, but it was actually back when I did gaming content, the person I started the channel with doing that stuff. We went on a trip like a couple hours away from where we live. And we were just staying in like a crappy motel room. We'd pretty much done everything there was to do in this like it's just like a small historical town. So we pretty much like did everything there was to do. So we're sitting in this motel room at like 2 in the morning. And we both watched anime. We'd like gone to some cons and done cosplay and stuff. So he basically said, "You want to like watch this new anime my friend recommended me?" I was like, "Yeah, why not? I don't feel like sleeping. Sleep's for losers."
True.
Um, so we were sitting in this hotel room at like 2 a.m. Before we left, we had just finished Gurren Lagann. And we loved it. Like I have a VRL cosplay that I only have like one picture of because I'm stupid. Um, but he was like instantly one of my favorite characters, so that's where that came from.
Hmm.
But so we were in this hotel room watching this new anime that it like had just come out. It was only sub. People hadn't heard of it yet, and it's this little known title called My Hero Academia. Um, so we saw it before like it was probably pretty close to release, or at least like before it had its boom into like the popular side of media. And we finished all of season one that night. And as we were sitting there watching Aizawa roll in his sleeping bag, I can't remember if I said it or if he said it, but he was like, "I think that's what V-Roll would be like as a professor." And my brain did some word association of like, professor? That sounds really good. And it was just like it became like my name for like everything online from like Minecraft to YouTube from that point on.
Uh-huh. Okay, that is not at all what I expected, I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah, it's very much like it feels like it doesn't fit 'cause it feels like it should be like a lot of what I do is from like a kind of want to teach people perspective. So like you think it'd be from there, but no, it's from 2 a.m. hotel rooms.
Uh-huh. And like Professor Viral, to me that just sounds like it sounds like a really good username. I kind of figured at first that it was like
It was viral.
yeah, yeah, like viral
Yeah.
videos and stuff like that, you know? Cuz you make
Yeah, I
stuff mostly
actually
about anime. Well, I guess actually it doesn't
sorry,
do
what
that well anyways. Nothing
but no, I,
crazy.
I I definitely like I always think about that. Like when I branded it, I almost wish I had just spelled it as like viral because like I'm terrible at like promoting myself or saying that my content is like good, even though like I know like I know it is, but I'm terrible at saying it. So
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, I feel so pompous, like Professor Viral, like I make viral videos.
No, I get that. I get that. Stuff is very good though. I think the name is extremely fitting, honestly,
Thank you, I appreciate it.
especially for those Black Lagoon videos that happen to go pretty viral. You could probably say. What are they
That's
at?
the one point where it fit. Um, the most viewed one, the first one about rock is just under 400,000 views, I
Oh,
think.
geez, man.
Yeah, no, it's insane because I had like my most viewed video for the longest time was why Tokyo Ghoul Re 2 is like the worst anime ever. Um, and that steadily got for like the longest time, like, and even now I think it got back up to like 300 views every 48 hours. But it was like every 2 days, 400 views, 400 views, 400 views. So that broke 100,000 and was like my top video forever. And then I
Huh.
woke up one weekend at a friend's house, like a month after the rock video was published on Black Lagoon. And I checked my phone and was, oh, man, it got 1,000 views in the past 48 hours. That's insane. And it just kept going up from there and like overtook that video almost immediately.
Wow. Jeez, that is insane.
Yeah, it was the most wild thing that's ever happened to me on YouTube.
Uh huh. How did it feel to see it like slowly rise to such an enormous amount of views?
Oh my god, it was one of the most validating things I've ever felt because again, I've been doing this since like in different capacities and like over different kinds of content, but I've been doing this for about 6 years now. And I got up to like just under 3,000 subscribers doing content for the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game, and then I really hated the direction the game went into, so I like quit the game, and obviously I can't make content about something I don't do, so
Hmm.
I was very much like disheartened by that, and then eventually kind of went like, oh, well, okay, I'll transition into anime, and that was a pretty quick transition, but I wasn't posting very regularly because of concerns with college, obviously.
Hmm.
I say obviously, that's not obvious. But because of college and for a while it was like I was getting like 2 subscribers a day, 1 subscriber the next day, 0 the next day, 2 the next day, and it was that very slow progression. Like I broke 3,000, yay, and then within like a month I woke up at like 10,000, and that was always a number in my head where I was like, that feels like success, even though you can't like live off of it. It's very much like you see that number under a channel and you're like, I can trust this.
Hmm.
So like it's just an abstract number that doesn't mean anything, but I hit it and it was like because of that video, and it's the wildest experience. I
Yeah,
don't even know
that
how to
is insane.
describe it. Like I feel like I haven't processed it yet.
It was definitely very well deserved, I have to say.
Thank you, thank you. I always appreciate my community is so nice. There's so many comments, especially on those videos. That's like, this is great, keep going, and even simple stuff like that. Just like honestly, that's like one of the most important things you can do for like any channel you like is like, and that I've very much started doing after making content is like just even just simple comments like thank you for making this, like it means so much.
I completely agree. Like literally any comment saying that anything I'm doing is slightly good is like enough motivation to keep me going for
Oh my
for a few
god,
months.
yeah, it's like I'll wake up and be like, oh, I have no motivation, and I'm like, I'll check the comments and I see one nice comment, it's like, let's go, I'm ready for the day.
It's like drinking coffee.
Oh yeah, I do a lot of that too.
So, I think you said earlier that you didn't actually have any like prior experience with or interest in philosophy before you started making videos, except that one intro to ethics class.
Yep.
So, do you have a degree in like psychology or philosophy or anything of that sort?
uh i I do not. And this is something I'll have to explain because it's like very much obscure and like a newer thing not many people know about. But I have a degree in mechatronics engineering with a minor in robotics engineering.
Mechatronics sounds like the name of a kid's anime. I have to be
It
honest.
it's very much like whenever I bring it up, people are like, "So you build transformers?" And it's like kind of, I guess.
Sounds like a pretty cool job to me.
It very much depends on like because it's such a broad field because what it combines is mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and then like a mix of controls and industrial engineering.
and then you add on to that the robotics minor, and basically like the simplest, like I'm just an engineer. Like I just work at a place that does engineering.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many options to where it's like some jobs I'm like that's very exciting, and others that's the most dull thing I've ever seen. Oh my god.
Uh-huh. Do you like your
So
job?
yeah, I actually I very much made the decision to go to engineering based on um the like genuine like or general pressures of the world, from family to seeing success in media to being told about success or seeing it through a family member, and those people that you hear about in those situations just based on whether it's bias or just narrative is generally, a doctor or an engineer or a scientist or something, or like a lawyer, something that sounds very good written on a fancy piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't care much about the direction of my life when I was younger. But I just knew that, oh, everyone has told me this was good. I've been told I get good grades in science. I guess I should be an engineer. And I sat down for 10 minutes in a library and researched engineering and went, yeah, okay, I guess I'll go for engineering. It's like it was like a snap decision. Like I was still a stupid kid who didn't like know like how much the decision really meant.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I just hadn't been exposed to things that I really liked. Like I didn't have many courses that were geared towards creative things, or at least not ones that were viewed as important. There was very much like a parental influence from one side of, you'll go and be successful and make a lot of money at this. So I did it, and I figured out like 2 years through that I just hated it. Um, And so, like,
Uh-huh.
I had, like, a major change, but I stuck in engineering because, like, I didn't know what else to do, and I already felt like I'd sunk so much time and money into it, so I kept going with it. But I very much hit a point where I went, "I can't do this." Um, and that's part of what kind of makes me so motivated to do this stuff, and, like, make content that I feel valuable in, because it just always feels like there's a lot of people, and I'm not I don't even think I'm a good case of this. I think I've still been very lucky despite, kind of slightly being forced into something I don't like, in that a lot of people just don't get to do something they love, and I very much feel that in having paid so much money to do something that I have no love for. Um
Mm-hmm.
so, like, a very much a big part of this is, like, this is something I feel I add value to the world with. It's something I wanna do in that way.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
Sorry to, like, I feel like I was, like, I'm very jokey, and then all of a sudden I turned it to, like, serious 11.
No, that's completely okay. That's what podcast is for. That's like genuinely really interesting. Would you say that you like definitely regret making that split second decision to go into engineering?
I very much do. Like, if I could go back and say anything to my younger self, like, there's many things I could say because I very much don't enjoy the person I was for the longest time. But there's definitely, like, if I could say one thing, it was, like, make that decision count. Don't go based on what other people think you should be. Go based on what you think you should be. And no one really knows at that time. Like, I can't blame anyone because we just don't know ourselves yet. And we're very much forced to make such an important decision at such a young age without knowing ourselves. And it feels very defining for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's like, if I could give one advice to my younger self, it would be like, take more than 10 minutes and apply to more than one school. Holy crap.
Okay, interesting. I'm sure that'll actually be some really helpful advice for a lot of the people listening, myself included, honestly. Especially, I know at least a few of my friends watching this are at the level where they're going into college or they will be within the year, and it is really important to think about that decision because that's going to be at least the next 4 years of your life, if not
Yeah.
the entirety of it.
And I was actually just editing a video where I asked some subscribers for like submissions about their like story with anime and how they came to watch it. And a good few of them were in that like 16 to 18 range. So it is definitely very much like not many people care about the decision at that point or know what they want to do. But even if you don't, it's like genuinely like, yeah, very much like, even though I feel like it shouldn't be, it is a very important decision.
Hmm. I agree with you. It really sucks to put that much pressure, like such a huge life decision on someone who is way too young to understand how
Who
much
has
it
made
means.
no life decisions.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so you definitely mentioned you wanted to make you definitely want to make a career out of this, right? Of making video essays.
Correct. There's definitely some like overlap into like even if I'm just an editor or even if I'm just a like a camera operator, like if it went to that or scripting for other people or just hosting for other people. I just want to be involved in like the creative process some way. But this is
Oh,
definitely the dream of like I can make stuff that I find valuable that I can like I don't even want to say like learning or like making people learn, but like that kind of thing where it's like a very much part of what like influenced me to want to do this was seeing like a video and I went, that's like a philosophical I didn't recognize them as philosophical concepts yet, but it was that like, wow, like I never thought of the world in that way. Like even if it's something like basic, most people might know. Sometimes something you say just hits someone, and they'd like, it's like, wow, I didn't think about that, and it drives this passion to learn and search into something more, which is I think one of the most like fundamental aspect of being human is asking why. So I love that I can fulfill that why, even if just for like a couple moments for someone.
that's awesome. That's a really cool motivation. I respect that a lot.
Thank you.
I will definitely say your videos have made me think about a lot of different things, and I feel like I've learned a lot while watching them. I think like
Oh,
the
thank
amount
you.
of educational stuff you put into them, like about the dictionary of obscure sorrows, for example. That's like so interesting to me.
Yeah, that's and for anyone who watches the YouTube channel Vsauce, which is obviously one of like the largest channels or was, they'll probably notice a little bit of overlap because that was one of my main inspirations. And I feel like the best summary of it is I forget what the exact quote was. I think it was when he was talking when Michael Stevens, the host of Vsauce, was talking with Adam Savage. He said something along the lines of you make a video that get like someone sees it and they go, "Oh, that's an interesting question. I want to click on that and see the answer." And then throughout the course of the video, you slip in little educational bits of knowledge or little other questions that they might want answered. And you kind of trick people into learning through like something they like. Like for me, it's the medium of anime. Um, so it's very much that kind of like, haha, I tricked you into learning a little bit.
Uh huh. Interesting. Dang, that's really cool actually. I hope anybody watching this can take a page out of your book on that because that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you said that Vsauce is a big inspiration for you. What other creators have inspired your content?
Um, oh man. This one it's weird because a lot of my influences aren't from people who make anime content. Just it's like just more scarce on YouTube, so you don't run into it as much. Like, obviously there's like a few like I've definitely watched like a lot of Mother's Basement videos. And I forget all the names right now because I'm terrible. I'm so sorry to all the amazing anime YouTubers. Um, but a lot of like talking about anime gets very technical. So a lot of my inspirations are kind of like outside of the anime community.
Really?
So yeah, one of my main ones is actually Nerd Cubed. He is probably one of my like biggest inspirations for making content, and he is just like a variety gaming channel.
Really? That's interesting.
But like it's kind of weird because he was one of like the people who like within 6 months his channel shot up. Like this was like 10 years ago now. He's been around forever. Um, but like it shot up, and then like the pressure of it got to him, and he kind of stagnated. And like maybe like 4 years ago now, he started doing really interesting things with his content, where he was a gaming YouTuber, but his introductions were like the most insane stuff. Like it was him having fake converse, like obviously like it was just acting. It wasn't a real conversation, but like he was acting out a conversation with his mom on the phone of like, no, you probably shouldn't watch today's video. It gets a little weird, or like yeah, no, a slideshow of glitched screens probably isn't a good video, and just doing stuff that he wanted to do that was insane. Um, and that very much influenced me of like, I'm just gonna talk about things that interest me. And it might get a little insane, but like if it does, that's fine.
Uh huh. Okay, interesting. That's also like some incredible advice. This is going to be I have to say, I think this will be a very good episode for anyone who's looking to make content on YouTube to watch. Some
I
extremely
hope so.
valuable advice on this. Okay, so if YouTube were to shut down today, what would you do?
Oh my God, cry. I would probably just like cry forever. Um,
Same here.
I'm very bad with like I've definitely gotten skills in like video production. I think that um even like some of the larger YouTubers I watch, and it's different content, so like it's different expectations and different needs. But I feel like I definitely have like grown my editing skills to even better than some of like the 2 million plus subscriber channels I watch.
Hmm.
Um, and like length of videos and different stuff. But then they all got very good at knowing what to do to like sell themselves. Of like, I need this other website, I need this Instagram, my Twitter, and I'll start on Twitch and I'll do all these other things. And they have side options. Or like how a lot of YouTubers go on to write books or do speaking tours or things. And I have nothing. I have no like other like channel or like medium of any kind. I'm so like video focused in what I do. So if YouTube shut down, I would definitely just like, oh God, I guess Vimeo.
I mean, I guess that'd be the only option, really.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's a scary thought. For me, it'd be like if Twitch shut down. I don't know what I would do. Like, I mean, obviously, I haven't blown up that much yet, but I really want to keep doing this, and it would really suck to have to face a hurdle like that. You know?
Have it taken. Yeah, and like it's a weird thing because I don't like it's similar to arguments that might be made through entitlement, but I don't think it is because this is also just people's livelihoods. And it's so weird that
Exactly.
at like the whim of an algorithm or someone like a lawsuit or whatever it may be, like it could just go away. Like
Hmm.
it's a joke I make because I play Pokemon Go, and it's very much like the joke I make with it is I need to catch all these legendaries for virtual glory that can be deleted at any second when they feel like it.
Hmm.
Like everything is like it's all like it's physical because it's stored as like data, and that there's physicality and um digital aspects to that. But like it's so abstract, like it could just disappear. Like that's a thing that could happen.
Hmm. It's terrifying, man.
Yeah,
And
the
especially with like
existentialism.
exactly, and like seeing the little yellow dollar sign show up is like, especially if this was your livelihood, like that is a
Oh my
horrible
God.
feeling. I'm sure. Not that I've
That's the
experienced it.
sorry, I get like excited and feel like I talk over you too much. I'm
No, no,
very
no, no.
sorry
You're
about that.
completely fine. You're the one being interviewed here. Do not worry about it.
The one liberating thing about this not being a livelihood is you can just make whatever. I can say the wildest, most insane stuff. I can like the Evangelion video. I was very honest in the monetization. Like I went through and clicked all these options of like it includes all these dark topics, or like the Cowboy Bebop history one. Like it includes me talking about active terrorism, and I can do that because it's not my livelihood. So I can like see that little yellow dollar sign and go, whatever. It was insane. It was a weird ramble. It went off the rails.
Hmm.
But like that's the only liberating thing is like I don't have to worry about that just yet.
Okay. And are you? Does the thought that you will have to worry about that one day, if like you do decide to stop engineering and focus 100% on this, does that scare you at all? Does that like kind of detract from the excitement of it?
It does a little bit. There is definitely because this is something I've seen from every creator I've ever watched on YouTube. Is very much you get to that point where there's that expectation that goes along with the very like monetary side of things too, where it's like now like if I were to stop, I would be devastated because I just wouldn't. I've very much tied my self worth to this, which is a terrible thing to do.
Hmm.
Um, but like I'd be devastated, but I'd be okay. But if it was my career and I was 10 years into it and I hadn't used my degree or my education in like 8 years, it would be terrifying. Like there is very much that like, and especially too because a big part of enjoyment is getting to make what you want to make. So if there's a certain topic that you can't make money off of, like that Cowboy Bebop, like a video talking about history involving war or events of tragedy, different things like that. There's certain content you just can't make, which I very much hate because it's like I think I'm at my best when I talk about whatever's been on my mind for the past 3 months. And when I can't do that, I definitely feel like it suffers a little bit.
Okay, interesting. Hello, everybody. I really hope you're enjoying the podcast so far. Really wanted to put a quick interjection in here. When I stream these live, Professor Viral and we took a little break, like just a bathroom break. And when we came back, I cut out pretty much most of what we like. I cut out all of the break, obviously, because there's just no need for that to be in the edited version of the podcast. However, it kind of transitioned from something I said on that break. I was talking about when this video was going to be released. And I was talking about, I was trying to figure out the math and the schedule. And then he kind of transitioned off of that into something important, and I didn't want to cut that out. So, yeah, just saying, that's what it was. Wow, this is a 40-second interjection. All right, bye.
Math is hard. Just that phrase reminds me of when I took 13 Calc 2 finals in the span of 3 days.
Oh my gosh. 13 for just Calc 2?
Yeah, because she put up like 5 old practice ones, and I did each of them twice, and then 3 of them one more time each to make sure I passed the final.
Jeez, man, that is a serious amount of studying.
Oh my god, I had no life in college. I've had like a weird life journey because all through high school I just like stayed up till 3 a.m. playing Call of Duty and like video games and did nothing with my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then like once I got into college, like not even like my first semester, but like the second semester, like a switch flipped where I was like, okay, I will now do nothing but work for the rest of time.
Nice. Oh man, I'm hoping that switch does not flip for me. I gotta be honest, especially since I'm going to college next fall.
Terrible.
Oh gosh, can't wait. Let's go. So, what is your favorite anime, and why is it Psychopaths?
I was waiting, like, I was about to, like, shout Psychopaths, and you beat me to it.
Every fan of yours knows, man. No hiding this. The amount of videos on your channel about Psychopaths.
Oh my god, I know, I've had a few subscribers get even, like, legitimately annoyed and, like, stop posting every week. It's Psychopaths. But no, it's very much Psychopaths. It is the most numerously talked about thing on the channel. God, this is a dangerous question. I could talk about it for like 3 hours, so I'll keep it short, obviously. But I love Psycho. It's definitely my favorite. If you haven't seen it, to everyone ever, even if you don't like anime, go watch it. It's the greatest piece of media ever produced ever. It was very much the first thing, and this isn't even saying like it's exclusive to anime, or I hadn't even like watched something with it. Maybe I just didn't recognize it, but it was very much the first thing I watched. Where afterwards I sat down and thought about something like, was the villain right? Like it's very much has an ending that isn't happy. To me, it's very cyclical. Even though they go on to make more seasons, I think it was designed just to be one season. It was designed to be a very non-satisfactory ending. And it was the first time I watched something like that, where it was not afraid to say, things didn't work out okay. No one ended up in a better place than they started in. Everything, for the most part, is worse, except for one character who grew who had strengthened herself, but become a little bit colder as a result. It was very much the first thing where like there were scenes that weren't shocking because of any content, but because of the ideas that were brought up. Where a villain looked at the heroes and said, "You don't deserve to catch me. You don't have the resolve. You don't have the free will in this society that has had free will robbed from it." That's just like a quick explainer for anyone who hasn't seen it. Basically, the premise is it's 2112, so it's a future Japan that's isolated itself from the world, and through like a complex system of scans, they can predict if you are going to commit a crime or have the potential to before you do. So it's very much like you become a latent criminal, which means like you have the potential to be one even though you haven't done anything yet. So it's this hyper peaceful society, the only one left on Earth, but they also have lives that are completely structured. If they show any stress, they're locked up as a criminal. Their life path is chosen out based on a series of tests that tell them what they're best at. So one of the main themes running through it is what is free will and do these people still have it? And every character contributes something to that, something beautiful and unique and amazing that all meshes together. And it was the first piece of media that made me think about something as deep as that. And that's why I will love it forever.
That's a super valuable experience. I have to say, I've definitely had a similar experience. I think with Death Parade, definitely be the first one that really made me think.
Yeah, very much so. Very much that like idea of, oh god, it's such a sad anime, but I love it.
Same, man. So good. I loved your video about it, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, that was one of my like weird returns to very technical discussions. But I think like I there's sometimes I like going and like looking at something and saying like, why did this work, even though it's so contrary to what should work.
Yeah, that was really interesting. Okay, so so we know your favorite anime, of course. What is your least favorite anime?
So this is actually kind of funny because whenever I was like really getting into anime, like I had watched like as a kid, then a little bit at like 16, and then like really got into it maybe at like 20 to 21. And I watched Tokyo Ghoul, and then I watched Psychopaths. And my least favorite anime of all time is Tokyo Ghoul Re Season 2. It's like a weird pick because it's very like, it's the last one in 4 seasons, so it's very much like specific to the anime. But it's like, from everything I've heard about how it adapted the source material to how it treated characters to how the story was laid out, like they would introduce 3 characters just to kill off one of them, but then they have 3 more characters they have to deal with. It tried to condense so much manga into such a short anime, and it just feels like, I don't know, like it's like it's treating you like you're stupid. Like it feels so fan servicey. The animation got so much worse from the first 2 seasons. It has a happy ending when it shouldn't. It's feel like there's this whole idea of like what sacrifice the main character is going to have to make, and then he just has to make none. He just gets to be happy. So it's like very much the kind of like opposite ending to Psychopaths, where it started with some of these themes of like a man stuck between 2 worlds, which one of them is right, and then it just ends with, oh, I guess both of them are fine.
Okay, interesting. Honestly, good choice. I completely agree with you. I love the Tokyo Ghoul manga, but oh my gosh, you just cannot condense something like that is that well written and has such a complex story into a like short anime like that.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way.
Yeah, it's a shame to like see a show get so like ruined by needing to fit into a 12 episode limit.
I have very much gone on a tangent about that to people who didn't even watch anime before. Like I had one friend specifically, like they were just having like a bad day, and like they were just driving, and like, listen, I need to not think. Like, you could just talk at me and I really wouldn't care. Like, you could talk about anime, like it doesn't even matter. And I was like, "Oh, I guess I could like rant about Tokyo Ghoul Re again, but like I do that all the time, and that just it was so good, and then it ended up so bad. And the next time I looked down, 30 minutes had gone by. And without realizing it, I had ranted to this person about Tokyo Ghoul for 30 minutes when I was trying not to.
That is incredible. I can relate to that, dude. It is so fun to rant about something, though.
I'm never like at parties, but I just like imagine like I'd be that guy in the corner, like with someone trapped, just like explaining like, and this is why Tokyo Ghoul really sucks.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's perfect. So, which of your videos is your favorite?
There's some that like I think the in-depth Makishima video, it might be the most important, like not like in terms of growth, but in terms of like my personal writing growth, might be the most important because it kicked off the string of like character focused videos. But I think my favorite, and this is one that did not do well, has like never done well since, just like never really got any traction. But it was my first like 30-minute, maybe not my first, but it was like the first in a while, like 30-minute plus video. The first one where I talked about like some very abstract concepts in a while and just went like, this has been on my mind since I saw it. I want to say it. And it's a video I did called Cowboy Bebop and Moving On. And it's basically like a 30-minute ramble going over each of the characters and what they specifically do involving their past and how they move on. And kind of like the theme of Cowboy Bebop, to me at least, that goes along with like 90s anime that very much focused on one emotion. To me, Cowboy Bebop is about loneliness because there's this ragtag group of bounty hunters in space who are together, but they don't know everything about each other. There's no coherent plot line that's being followed because they don't have coherent lives. It's this very meta narrative about loneliness, even when you're together with people, and I think the ending plays into that better than anything I've ever watched has into like a singular emotion. Um,
Dang, that's
and
interesting.
basically, the video was basically just exploring that and what each character added to it. And it was the first time I had also made a video where I decided I was gonna like set a mood, where I very much like, oh, that was also the first time I copied um eye catches from an anime, which is something I've done with like Black Lagoon. There's like the gunshot and then the shaking text that I've had in I think every video. I did that with Cowboy Bebop for the first time because it has such interesting eye catches where the commercials are supposed to go. So it was like the first time I copied those and sat down and was like, I'm gonna write this with a specific mood in mind, where like I want someone to feel an emotion when they're watching this. Like I want to craft an emotional experience.
Mhm.
And it was the first time I did that, and even though it never did well, it's like my favorite thing I've ever made, I think.
That's interesting. I do think I've watched that video before, but I must have watched it when I was really late at night or something because I don't remember it very well. I love Cowboy Bebop though, so I'll definitely have to give it another listen.
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop it's very much in that like 90s line of like Trigun, Evangelion, like just so many like all-time classics that people will just like watch until the end of time. But there's so much I could say about it. Like I could probably make 17 videos if I rewatched it.
You should, man. I would love to see that so much. There needs to be more talk about Cowboy Bebop.
Oh my god, yeah. I don't want it to like fade away because like it's all like it was on like I don't even know if it's still on Adult Swim or if it's still a thing, but like I know it was on their original lineup and it's like it was like such a persistent thing since, but like we're starting to see anime fans who haven't watched it yet. And like I remember specifically when I was researching the history of it, one of the things from the creator, I'm gonna butcher his name, I apologize. Shinichiro Watanabe was he inspired the crew by saying, "This is something that people are going to watch for like 30 years. Keep going. We can do this. We can make something that great." And he
That's awesome.
succeeded. But like I think it's so good it should keep going. Like it's something that people that like he was right. It just deserves to be watched till like the end of time.
Exactly. It's so timeless, dude. It's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
An absolute classic. I could say
And
a
I
lot
guess
about it, but I'm holding myself back.
yeah, no, I should stop as well.
Fair enough, fair enough. So which of your videos is your least favorite?
Oh man, I feel like I had one in mind earlier and then I forgot. A lot of my earlier videos are pretty rough. Just because of like I was so afraid to use clips, like it was just moving images edited on top of moving images, and it took like a month to edit each one because of that. And like the mic quality was so bad. Like this isn't my like pick, but I remember like the first big video on my channel that still exists is when I talked about a comic get kill, and I opened it by saying in this really weird voice, it went something like this: "A comic get kill." And I was like, "Oh my god, like 30,000 people have seen this." Oh, that's so bad. Um, least favorite video. There's another one I did for Cowboy Bebop, which was the beautiful contradiction of Cowboy Bebop, which was very much like the night before I was supposed to release a video. I was like, I have nothing. And I sat down, I was like, I'm just gonna rant about Cowboy Bebop. I'm gonna edit it down this night. I'm not gonna sleep. I'm gonna put it out, and that'll be the video. Um, and like there were definitely like actually no, that's my pick because of what happened after that. It was very much like something I wanted to do, where for the first time in a while I let myself sit down and like pure mind flow, writing whatever I'm feeling, which is something I'm terrible at, like expressing myself through writing about an anime. Um, and it came out okay, but there was very much like the music um did not fit very well. It was not lined up very well with the flow of the video, which didn't really exist. Um, I did like some weird like blur effects in the background to stretch everything to 9 or 16:9 rather than leaving it in 4:3, even though there were no 16:9 clips in the video. So I could have just left it 4:3. The thumbnail, like I never liked it, so I changed it a few times. And it's my pick for least favorite because that was like when the channel was very much blowing up as well, or kind of like towards the tail end of the first spike. And it was the specific video that got picked for AnyTube Digest because Shapes had not seen Black Lagoon yet, so he could not watch the Black Lagoon video everyone was recommending. So he picked my most recent video, which was that one, and it was like the worst example of my content. And I was just sitting there like, oh, like this isn't the biggest like audience that like he's talking about it to, but like, oh, it just wasn't like the like first introduction I wanted people to have to my content.
Oh, that's really unlucky, man.
Yeah, it just happened that way, and I was like, oh, whatever, it's okay, I guess.
Mm-hmm. It sucks. Must have worked to some extent, though.
Yeah, it's still like it has like 1,500 views right now. It's Cowboy Bebop, like it's not terrible. Like I think there was some decent content. It was just very unrefined.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I get you. Gotta stumble a bit before you can run, though, of course.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so last question I'll ask before I start taking questions from chat and Twitter. So let's say, theoretically, hypothetically, one of the writers from Psychopaths has just commented on one of your videos saying that he likes it a lot. How do you react?
You could have just stopped it commenting on the video. That'd be enough to make me the happiest person in the world. Oh my god, if they said they... Oh, I apologize. You might have heard me accidentally tap the mic there.
You're good.
One of my like biggest fears is writing something about an anime I love, especially about a character, and then somehow like the creator seeing it and just going, "You were way off base. Like that is not right at all." Like I would be devastated if that happened. Like I think about it way too much, even though that'll never happen. Especially just because there's like a language disconnect between me and most people who make anime.
That's true.
Like if, again, this is another name I'm going to butcher because I have terrible American pronunciation. But if the creator, Gen Urabuki, would like comment on a video saying he liked it, I would be the most insufferable man on the face of the earth for at least like 7 months. Because I would bring it up to every single person on every single video. Like, the creator of Psychopaths likes my work, my life is complete.
I mean, honestly, who could blame you?
Oh my, and that's like everything he does I love too. Like, Madoka Magica is amazing. I'm somehow forgetting his other works right now. I know I'm gonna watch Fate Zero soon, just because I know it's another one of his works. But like, I have not watched something of his yet that I have not enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's really cool. I gotta be honest, I'd probably be pretty much the exact same way if I got a comment like that on one of my videos. It'd be so insane.
Oh my god, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to take some questions from the Twitch chat now. I have 4 right from Can You Count Bees, who was actually the first guest I had on this podcast. First episode about fanfiction, which you all can check out on the channel.
Which you should. It was a lovely, lovely watch. Listen.
Yeah, I'm happy you enjoyed it. Okay, so first, have you read Junjie Ito's Fragments of Horror? Or any Junjie Ito work?
I have not. It's definitely like a name I've heard. I've definitely seen some of the art, but I have not personally seen any of it yet, which is probably a bit of a crime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good stuff about it too, but I haven't really read any of it because horror is just not my genre.
Yeah, I'm like slowly getting more into horror. Like it's this kind of weird cycle of like I won't seek it out, but like occasionally like I'll be somewhere where someone's watching it or something like that, and it like something will happen that very much like disgusts me, like a very visceral reaction to horror, and I process it for 2 weeks, and then I go, okay, there's some creativity that can be drawn from that. There's something you can do with that, with horror, in a very specific way, and like it slowly turns from like disgust into inspiration. So I feel like I do need to get more into it at some point.
Hmm. Okay, interesting. So have you considered Patreon for a form of money gain so you don't have to rely on YouTube monetization?
I actually just recently relaunched my Patreon, which is patreon.com/Professor V Rawls. Because I love saying that.
Shilling, nice. Let's go. I'm joking. I don't care.
No, I'm so bad at like promoting myself, or that like I have had it for like 2 months and I have not mentioned it much in videos because I'm very terrible at it. Because like I always have this like, I know specifically in my Black Lagoon video about Roberta, like that was the first time I got a comment that said like, "Hey, like this mid-roll stuff you're doing and like the placement of and different things like hurt the content of this video," and I was like, "Oh my god, oh I can't believe I let that happen. I can never do it again." So I just didn't do outros for like 2 videos because I was like, I can't interrupt the flow of the video. I cannot do it. So I got like even worse at promoting myself from that because I'm so like afraid of like hurting the value of the content in any way. But I definitely need to get better at just that, being like, yes, I have a Patreon. So I do have one that I have launched recently.
Okay, cool. I think I have actually seen it. I looked at a link to it while I was doing my research, you might say.
Hey.
But yeah, not chat. Anybody who's listening to this podcast after it goes up, if you would like to check out the Patreon, there will be a link to it in the description, as well as a link to anything else we mention, including pretty much every video that is mentioned, including the ones that you said are your least favorite.
You're a saint. Except for that last part.
I was waiting for your reaction to that. Yeah, well, you might say I'm a saint, but it's really that my editor is a saint because I just put that expectation on them. Let's go, have fun, B.
There was a specific video, I forget what it was, but I used to do joke intros to all my videos. It was on Dimension W because Kiyoma, the main character, has a beard, and I specifically said in the intro, and I tried to shave my hair into Kiyoma's beard, but I failed, so I'll have my editor do it instead. And it just cuts to me turning around from my computer and going, "Why would you say that? It's yourself."
Oh, that's so good. Oh, I love that. For the record, B, I will actually gather the links myself since I already know these videos because I've watched most of them. Okay. Next question from B. Do you have any anime/manga you've reviewed/written on or just seen on your own that has affected your life greatly?
Ooh, that I haven't viewed on.
That you have.
Oh, that I have. Oh, okay. That makes it so much easier. Oh my god. Obviously Psychopaths, like I don't need to go over Psychopaths anymore. I've already taken up too much time of this podcast on just Psychopaths. Bebop for sure was another one where like I watched it and afterwards I just like sat down and just like felt like the existentialism creep in. Like I just was like, oh, like I need to think about this ending.
Happened to me when I finished watching it too.
Oh yeah, I feel like it's like impossible not to have that happen.
Completely agree.
Trigun very much, because that was one of the few times where I saw something do like a very mixed happy ending where it's very uncertain, but you feel like everyone has grown. You feel like Vash has become a little bit more complete. You know, he's taken the lessons of Wolfwood and all the other characters to heart. And that duality of two characters in Trigun that is realism of save or like to draw a rough comparison, utilitarianism, like the most happiness for the most people versus the more idealistic stance of Vash, which is everyone, just save everyone, do everything you can. Humans have a value. That duality, which is something I think about all the time, very much hit me. So Trigun is for sure another one. I'd be like remorse if I didn't mention Black Lagoon. It's very much real. so it hasn't like impacted me in like a philosophical way, but it has impacted me in a very much of like, why is this so real? Because it's an outlandish story at times. Like they're dodging bullets, things make no sense. People shouldn't be able to do this, but everyone feels the most real that characters have ever felt to me. Like there's specific moments where like characters will be having a fight and then it just kind of ends. Like one of them gets less serious, less involved, cracks a joke, and the fight's over. And that feels so real to me to not have closure. So it's something I like endlessly respect about Black Lagoon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking up so much time, so I'll just like name drop a few more. Death Parade, obviously for sure.
Good choice.
Durarara to a slight extent.
Yes. I love Durarara so much. That's how I found you. That's how I found you. Your video on Durarara, Sense of Self. That's how I found you.
Oh my god! I
was just looking for videos on Durarara, man. I just wanted more Durarara, and your video hit me different.
Oh, that's actually what's funny. I think I mentioned it in the video, but that was a script I had like thrown out like 6 months beforehand.
Seriously.
So like that, yeah, that video almost didn't make it because I remember I was recording it in college and I hadn't recorded for a while, and I sat down and like everything I was doing face to camera, because I didn't have a teleprompter at that point, was very much like I just tried to remember it and then repeat it back. And I got so frustrated. It took 12 attempts. I didn't think it was anything worthwhile. And I just like, I finished it. And then I went, I can't look at this. I hate everything about it, because like, it just frustrated me so much. And I just got rid of it all. And then 6 months later was like, I like the content of this. It was actually one of the first times I had like been very much like direct about like, here is something I specifically researched. Like, here's the link. It's something psychological I didn't know about that I was learning with you. So it actually is a very like important video also in that way of like, I failed at that at first and then found my footing with it again. So that's actually a pretty important video. And
I'm really happy you did, because if you hadn't, I probably would not be interviewing you today.
Yeah. Monica Magica, Mob Psycho, Evangelion is, I want to talk about it so much more. I love the just pure depression of the series. Steins Gate, Tokyo Ghoul, and Vinland Saga, and that's probably all my mentions.
All good choices. I love Vinland Saga. Do you mean the anime or the manga?
I have not read the manga. I've only seen the anime.
Oh man, you have got to read the manga. It is something else.
It's definitely another one of those check out one days.
Okay, I need to not go into anime discussion mode during this podcast. I'm like holding myself back so much.
Oh, me too.
Okay, last question from B. How do you go about beginning to decide what you want to do if you only have 2 years to decide? Do you have any suggestions for how, like, what someone should do when they're trying to decide what they want to do with their life, like we mentioned earlier?
God, that's hard to say just because I never had the drive to figure it out myself. But one of the great things about living in the modern world is, even if we cannot directly experience things, we can at least witness the experience in some way. Like, I have never been to like Germany, say, but I have watched videos where someone has been walking along the streets of Germany, or like someone, like a show set in Germany, different things like that. So it is very much of like, just try to experience as much as you can, because you're never going to know if you like something before you do it. So whether it's just like, if you research something and think this sounds interesting, and you go ahead and check out either someone else doing it or whatever facsimile of doing it yourself you can do, as in like, you're interested in video editing, so you download like Lightworks or a free video editing software, if that one might not still exist, and say like, okay, I like this, or you might even say I don't like this, but you've at least crossed something off the list. So like, this is hard and very abstract, but the only real advice I can have is just try as much stuff, even stuff you don't think you'll like, because you never know what's going to hit you in just the right way.
Interesting. Okay, that is some good advice. All right.
Okay.
So, in closing, do you have any last remarks or pieces of advice for anybody out there looking to create stuff?
Oh. Man, this is where like, I wish I was in like because I'm in a little bit of like the mind flow mood right now, just because I've been like talking and like getting into it, where I could just like spout something off and say it, but because there's obviously like so much where it's like keep going and all the stuff that you hear a
Mhm.
lot, but I guess like kind of my thing on it is um expectation, whether it's from yourself or from what you have taken in from a narrative or from media or from external influences or interpersonal influences, um can be one of either like the it can be good or it can be such a damaging thing. But like, don't let expectation get to you. That's like why my like big piece of like technical advice is to like make definitely a few copies or a few very like a few videos before you would post anything, just because um it will get disheartening and it will probably take a while. Like it's weird because I try to be very honest about the content creation process, and it's a slog at times. But if you are doing it, like if you sit down and say you want to get into video editing and you start editing a video and you keep doing it and you feel fulfilled, it's something worth doing. Because at the end of the day, it's always great to be able to teach other people or present something and help someone learn or make them think about something they never have before. But what's important, outside of the expectations and pressures of normal life, is feeling fulfilled and doing what you think you enjoy. So very much just like try it out, and if you enjoy it and you feel good about it and you feel like you're adding value to your life and even maybe by extension the world, stick with it, because we need more beautiful people like that.
Wow. Okay, that is hard. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Professor
No
Matt.
problem. Thank you for having me. This is like a small, like being interviewed is like a very dream come true kind of thing. So it's very much interesting. I appreciate so much being able to come on.
Yeah, man, I was very happy to have you. This was super fun. All right.
Oh, very much so.
All right, this has been the 4th episode of the Create Stuff podcast. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you all so much for coming, especially to all of you who are chatting live with us. I really hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next time.
See you.
Hey, thanks so much for watching the 4th episode of the Create Stuff podcast. I really hope you enjoyed. Keep in mind that everything mentioned in the podcast is linked in the description, probably unless I missed something. I apologize if I did. In fact, if I did miss something that I mentioned in the episode that I did not link in the description, please let me know in the comments so that I can fix that. If you think that his content sounds interesting at all, seriously, give Professor Viral a chance. His YouTube link is in the description, and I bet you'll like it, honestly. If you'd like to support the Create Stuff podcast, my Patreon link is in the description. Just $1 a month helps so much. But if you can't give me money, just a like, a comment, and a subscribe seriously does more for me than I could ever tell you. I really hope you enjoyed. And remember, this is all streamed live on twitch.tv/Shaun Saxum. Hopefully during the next interview, I can see you in chat. I would love to say hi to you there. Let me give you a quick thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Thank you to Sammy Sue Support and Tonkatsu. Could not do this without you guys. And if you want your name to be read out like this, link in the description. Just $1 a month, and I will read your name out at the end of every podcast. And every video I make in general. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in episode 5.